Hey everybody, welcome back to the Jaywalker. Today, ghost story for a Saturday. Today it's a new thread on here, Haunted Building Bucket List, Part 1. So I've talked a little bit about living in Ogden prior to today's episode, and I love Ogden. I loved living there. It was fantastic. It was a great place. Not only because it was just a cool city, it was smaller than living here in Salt Lake. Smaller, it was different, but there was, it seemed, this paranormal vibe that just almost didn't quit. I've talked a little bit about the Bigelow Hotel, 25th Street, which has the Bigelow on the east side, and then you go down to the west side and it's Ogden Station, and that section was just, still is a lot of old buildings, a lot of energy. Apparently back in the day there was a lot of murders, a lot of different things. A part of town that, if you want to believe the story, I've not heard any big corroboration about this or seen an actual quote, but apparently even Al Capone, who came through Ogden at some point back in the 30s, said it was even too rough for him. Now, I don't know that I necessarily believe that, but that's the story. Now, one of the buildings that I want to talk about isn't any of the ones that are on 25th Street or the Bigelow or Union Station, though. We talked about the Bigelow before. Go check that one out. The one that's Haunted Hotel number 1. And the Union Station, which I'm going to feature at some point, and that'll be another story for another day. But today, the building that I want to highlight is actually, it's pretty close to 25th Street. It's over just off of 24th Street, so building is probably about, I want to say maybe half a mile away from Union Station, part of the whole railroad area. And the building that I'm talking about is the Ogden Stock Exchange building. Now, when I talk stock exchange, it's not like the New York Stock Exchange that we think about now, where it's buying and selling, stocks and company. We're talking stock as in livestock, cows, horses, sheep, farm animals. And it was the stock exchange building. They had, I think it was Monday afternoons, they had cattle auctions, animal auctions, like once a week. And it was that building from 1931 when it opened till it closed down as the stock exchange in 1971. Now, from 1971, after it closed down as the actual stock exchange, it's still the stock exchange building, no matter who you ask, it's still the stock exchange building. But after closing down as the stock exchange, the Ogden Technical College took it over for about 3 years, from late in 1971 through part of 1974. And then it sat vacant for, I believe, 2 or 3 years until about 1977, when Weber Mental Health, so Ogden is in Weber County, so the Weber Mental Health Department took it over as an outpatient mental health clinic, as well as had a methadone clinic and such there in this building. Now, as far as deaths and that kind of stuff that went on in the building, as deaths go, it seems like with any old building that has supposedly haunted energy attached to it, there's always more things with urban legends and the actual stories than there sometimes is the truth. Now, there were deaths that occurred at the building. One of them was, well, actually two of them there were two true documented deaths. Both of them were heart attacks, and they took place within 2 weeks of each other in 1951. One was a delivery driver, one was a gentleman who worked there at the building. The stories that kind of occurred that, I haven't found any real hard evidence on. There was supposedly a triple murder, and during the days that, it was this mental health clinic, that there was a couple of murders that revolved around it being a mental health clinic. But again, no real good corroboration on it. Now, it is a very cool little building. The building itself was designed by the same company, the same architectural firm who designed the Ogden Municipal Building, which is, again, right there on 25th Street, right there at 25th and Washington. The Bigelow Hotel was another one, Ogden High School, and there's a church and a few other buildings throughout Ogden that they did. Very cool, very cool Art Deco building. This is what it looks like. Very cool building. And again, I think it goes with older buildings. Maybe it's just that type of building that just ends up drawing attention now and drawing energy to it. Now, stories that go along with it. I mean, there's, they've caught lots of EVPs. A lot of groups have gone through and investigated the building. Been a lot of EVPs. There's been, apparitions. One EVP that I wanted to go over with, and I really wish that I could have found a recording of this EVP. The investigating group that caught it has since disbanded. The first time I heard the EVP that I'm going to talk about, it was before I got married, so it would have been, I think it was the October before I got married, so we're talking 2005 when I first heard this. And this investigating group had caught it maybe the year before or 2 years before, sometime within the few years just before they brought it out. This year was the first year that they brought it out and put it on the radio show that they had done on one of the radio stations here. They had this ghost investigating group come in around October every year and share EVPs and talk about photos and different things, and it was kind of a lot of fun. But this was the first year that they'd brought this particular EVP in, because it was very disturbing, very, very creepy, very crazy, and very cool. I'm going to talk about it. I have been for the last couple of years trying to find a copy of this so that I could share it, and I've not been able to do so. But story is with this EVP that the investigator who caught it had gone downstairs to the basement of this building, and he had set up his computer, set it up on a recording program with just a static microphone, just one microphone set up in the room for him to capture anything. Set it up, ran through, identifying what was going on, where it was at, what was going to happen, and then he and the guy that he was with, it was either the owner of the building or someone that they were there with, left. They had gone up, investigated the rest of the building, left the building for a while, left it in there for, I think that they said it was like 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours, came back, packed up the computer, and left again with him. When he went back to go through the evidence or whatever they had collected, saw just, looking at waveforms on this, it was just empty for a long time, and then halfway into this, big empty audio file, other than, white noise from the ambient surroundings. He sees like 2 minutes worth of things going on. Goes back in to listen to it, and it was bizarre, disturbing. It sounded like that there was at least 2 people in the room. One of them sounded like was either a young woman or a child, maybe adolescent. The other was a man. And then there was, sounded like there was arguing, a struggle, and then splashing water. And then, and the splashing went on for probably 30 seconds, and then silence. So, going back through this, they came back to the owner and said, what is this? And, they could find nothing about, any murders, especially in the basement. And there was no one in the building. There could have been no one in the building because, it was just them. No one came in with them. No one came in around them. While they were gone, they locked it up. And the big thing is there was no running water in the building. And you can distinctly hear water, and it sounded like maybe someone struggling underwater, splashing. And it was just this thought, did we capture a murder here? The after effects of a murder, did we catch this murder happening that's been imprinted here? Something to think about. Place that I want to go to investigate, because it is just a cool building. That's the story for today. Thanks for joining me. Join me again. We'll come up with, we'll talk about another building that I want to go to, maybe another building that I've been to next time. Join me again on the Jaywalk. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends. We'll see you soon.